Okay, girlfriend, picture this. You decide to sell your house because you want to save money. You take the pictures, you put a sign in the yard, answer every question, you let strangers walk through your house, you negotiate the contract, survive the inspection, deal with the appraisal, and finally made it to closing. Then you look at the numbers and realize you may have walked away with less money than you could have if you hired professional representation.
So you did all the work, absorbed all the stress, and still did not keep the money you thought you were saving?
Exactly. And that's why today's question is not simply, can you sell your house yourself? Of course you can. The real question is, are you saving the commission or losing more than you save?
Mm.
According to the National Association of Realtors 2025 profile of home buyers and sellers, the median for sale by owner home sold for $360,000, while the median agent assisted home sold for $425,000.
Oh, wow.
That's a $65,000 raw difference.
Yeah, $65,000. That is not skip Starbucks for a month money.
No, man, my street monkey, like real.
Oh, man. Now, before somebody pauses the episode to write an angry comment, the statistic does not mean every homeowner who sells a loan automatically will lose $65,000. These were not identical homes in identical neighborhoods with identical circumstances.
But a gap that large absolutely deserves a conversation, I think.
Oh, 100%. So today we are breaking down what for sale by owner or FSBO, FSBO,
Is those?
what that really means, why sellers choose it, what the statistics do and do not tell us, where money can quietly leak out of a transaction, and what buyers need to know before purchasing directly from an owner.
This is not about scaring anyone. It's about helping consumers make informed decisions before putting one of their largest financial assets at risk. Welcome back to the Homeowner Hotline, where we give you honest, straightforward real estate information in plain language. I'm Yaz.
And I'm Jen. We're your real estate homegirls. And today we're talking about three little letters that can create, I guess really it's four little letters that can create one very big debate. FSBO.
For sale by owner.
Yep.
It simply means the homeowner is trying to sell the property without hiring a listing agent to represent them. Usually, the real main reason is money. The seller thinks if I don't hire a listing agent, I can save the listing side professional fee. And listen, we understand why that sounds appealing to everyone. You know, your home may be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and every expense feels significant.
Right. Especially when somebody online says, just put it on the internet. Houses sell themselves.
Right. The internet loves to make a complicated transaction feel like a Facebook marketplace listing. But the real financial question is not, did I pay an agent? It's the real question is, how much money did I actually net at closing? And how much work, risk, time, and liability did I take on to get there? Because I avoided a fee and I made the most money are not the same sentence.
Yeah, no. So, yes, let's get into the receipts. You know, what the current numbers say.
Well, as I say lots. The Mandy National Association of Realtors studied primary residence transactions completed between July 2024 and June 2025. And here are the major findings. Only 5% of home sales were for sale by owner, the lowest share recorded in the history of the report.
Hmm.
91% of sellers used a real estate agent.
Well,
60% of FSBO sellers already knew the buyer. That happens a lot.
yeah. I feel like that's what leads a lot of people to just do a FSBO.
Correct. The median FSBO sales price was $360,000 and the median agent assisted sales price was $425,000.
Yeah, that's a $65,000 raw median price gap. So, to put it another way, the FSBO median was approximately 15.3% below what the agent assisted median is. Or if you compare in the other direction, the agent assisted median was approximately about 18.1% higher than the FSBO median.
Wow.
So it's same two numbers, different direction of comparison. And that's why percentages can sound different even when the underlying prices are the same.
Exactly. And we also need to explain what these figures do and do not prove. This is a national median comparison, not a controlled appraisal of identical homes. FSBO sales can include more manufactured homes, rural properties, lower priced properties, and transactions between relatives, neighbors, tenants, or people who already know one another. Those differences can pull the FSBO median down, I feel.
Yeah, so it would be misleading to tell every homeowner that you'll lose exactly $65,000 if you sell on your own.
Yeah. But would it be equally misleading to look at $65,000 gap and say avoiding professional representation automatically creates savings?
Right. So basically, the headline gets our attention, but the context is what's going to keep us honest
That's
about it.
exactly right.
So there is also an older 2017 collateral analytics study, and it tried to make a more comparable property analysis. It used an automated valuation model, or an AVM, to control for property differences. In its broad comparisons, the study found FSBO properties sold for approximately 5.02% per square foot by municipal area and 7.26% less per square foot by zip code than the MLS sales. So that research is commonly summarized roughly as 5 to 7% FSBO discounts compared with similar broker assisted sales. If that's making sense to you guys out there.
Now the research is not unanimous.
Right.
A well-known study by Hindle, Nevo, and Oratello Magne examined a specialized owner listing platform in Madison, Wisconsin, using older transactions from roughly 1998 to 2004. It did not find that brokers caused higher price sales in that particular market. But that was a unique platform and in a university community during an older and generally rising market. It reminds us that no single statistic can predict what will happen with every property or seller.
Isn't that the truth for real estate?
I mean, yeah.
Which means we're not cherry picking one number and pretending the conversation is over, basically.
Yeah, no. The responsible conclusion is this: selling for sale by owner may help a seller avoid one expense, but the seller must compare that potential saving against pricing accuracy, exposure, negotiations, concession, the risk of the transaction, the time, and the final net, not one simple line on a closing statement.
Right. So, gonna give you a girl from reality check here.
Lay on me, girl.
All right. So, if you cut your own hair to save $100, I could never do this because I can't cut hair. And then you spend $250 getting it corrected, you did not save $100 for yourself.
That's the whole
It's
episode. We can go.
perfect. We are done. We can go home now.
No, ma'am. We have 7 more ways money can disappear. So keep the microphone on.
Oh, okay. I'll make sure. So let's get into what losing money can actually look like for a for sale by owner situation. Right? When people hear losing money, they usually think it only means accepting a low offer. But money can leak out of a transaction in several places I don't think people realize.
No, I don't think they do. So sometimes it can happen in one dramatic moment. More often, it happens through several smaller decisions that add up. So pricing the home incorrectly. An online estimate, I would say from Zillow or
Yeah.
any site that would give you your home value, it's not the same as a complete pricing strategy.
Definitely not.
A website does not walk through your home. It may not know the true condition of your roof, the quality of your upgrades, the functionality of your floor plan, what's behind your property, whether the lot is a premium, or why one nearby home received more than another.
Right. Yeah. And active listings are not proof of value. They show what other sellers are asking. Closed sales show what buyers were actually willing to and able to pay. So if you price too low, you may leave equity on the table immediately.
But if you price too high, qualified buyers may reject the property during its most important marketing window. The home sits, buyers begin asking what's wrong with it, as we see all the time, and the seller eventually makes more and more reductions.
Yeah, and once a listing has been sitting, buyers do not usually say, "Oh, let's be extra generous."
No, they don't. They actually wonder how much negotiation room they have. The first price reduction can cost more than a professional fee than the seller originally hoped to avoid.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. So, the limited marketing exposure is another area. So, putting a sign in the yard and posting the home on a website is not a complete marketing plan, people.
That's
Sorry.
right. The goal is not simply to find a buyer. The goal is to create the greatest possible exposure among ready, willing, and qualified buyers so the seller has leverage.
Right, exactly. More exposure can mean more showings. More showings create more opportunities for competing interests.
Supply and demand.
Exactly.
And the competition is not always about the price. It can prove more financial strength, appraisal gap protection, inspection terms, escrow deposit, closing flexibility, occupancy terms, and the seller's overall net. A seller may privately find one buyer and believe that marketing worked, but without broad exposure, the seller may actually never know if there were another buyer out there with
Absolutely.
similar terms.
Yeah. One buyer tells you what that buyer will pay. A marketplace helps show what the it helps to show what the market may pay. So you could have left potentially thousands of dollars on the table,
Mhm.
you know?
And selling your home is personal.
Yeah.
You remember the renovations, the holidays. I remember when I brought my babies home to the house, the money spent, and the years of work. So a buyer sees an asset and possibly a list of things they want to change, which is crazy.
Mm,
When a buyer criticizes the kitchen, questions the roof, or submits a low offer, it can feel insulting. And there's nobody to buffer in between that, you
right.
know?
Yeah.
That emotion can lead a seller to reject a workable offer or give away too much just to finish an uncomfortable negotiation.
Yeah, because sometimes we are negotiating the house and sometimes we're accidentally defending our honor.
Yeah, exactly. An experienced agent creates separation between the seller and the buyer and evaluates the entire package: the price, the deposit, financing, appraisal exposure, inspection rights, concessions, the closing date, occupancy.
The list goes on.
Yeah, and the possibility of closing.
Yeah, so you're missing that when you're doing a FSBO because to the point of that, you're selling with your emotion behind it,
You
you know?
definitely are.
Another thing would be giving away money through the terms. So the highest price is not always the best offer, and a lower price is not always the weakest offer.
Nope. A contract can include seller paid closing cost, repair credits, rate buy down request, a request for a home warranty,
Mhm.
long inspection periods, a low escrow deposit, financing and appraisal contingencies, a home sale contingency, which is rough,
Yeah.
and early possession or post closing occupancy, which requires a lease, and a lawyer has to write that up.
Right. And a seller who looks at only the headline price can give away thousands of dollars somewhere else. So the other thing is, even though you're selling the home yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean the buyer you have doesn't have an agent representing them either.
Right.
So an offer can look cute on the first page, but then become expensive once you read the rest of it.
Well, that's why we read the entire contract, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well,
Who knows
that's
that?
fine.
Who knows if I mean that's what agents do because we're talked to and we just know to do that.
Right.
Where someone who's selling their home might not.
Well, let's get into mishandling repairs and inspections
Yep.
because this can be fun.
Oh yeah. Good times. So an inspection report can be dozens of pages long. I mean, I'm not saying dozens, hundreds. Hundreds of pages long. I
Yeah,
have
I think
seen.
the last one I looked at was like 152 pages
Yeah.
long.
Many items are maintenance notes, observations, or just recommendations that aren't necessarily major defects. So,
And without experienced guidance, guys, a seller may agree to every request spend money on unnecessary work, or respond so aggressively the qualified buyer walks away.
Yeah, and, the job is to separate safety concerns, the insurability issues, which are usually the 4-point issues, lender-required repairs versus legitimate defects, maintenance items, and negotiable preferences. Because the inspector mentioned it does not automatically mean the seller must replace it.
Correct. The contract, facts, financing, insurance, market conditions, and negotiating position all matter.
Yeah. So also, let's get into the appraisal problems.
So, this is where I shine through, I think, every time an appraisal falls short. But
Mhm.
even if a buyer agrees to the price, a finance transaction still may depend on an appraisal. If the appraisal comes in low, what happens next depends on the contract. Does the buyer have the right to cancel? Is there an appraisal gap? What's going to happen with the appraisal gap? Who's going to cover it?
Right.
Can the price be renegotiated? Did anyone prepare relevant comparable sales and a list of material improvements for the appraiser?
Right. As agents
People don't
typically would
know to
do.
do that.
Yeah.
So, one pricing mistake made on day one can reappear weeks later after the seller has packed, scheduled movers, or committed to another home.
Yeah, nothing says stress like your moving truck being scheduled while the appraisal is asking everybody to have a meeting.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
So, let's move into contract disclosure and deadline mistakes because this could this could be very serious.
Mhm.
A real estate contract is not only about price, it controls deposits, deadlines, inspection, financing, title, default, closing, personal property, and remedies. In Florida, selling as is does not mean I do not have to disclose anything. Florida sellers generally have a duty to disclose known facts that materially affect the property's value when those facts are not readily observable and are not known to the buyer.
Yeah, exactly. And there might be other documents or disclosures involving like lead-based paint depending on the year of your home,
Hmm.
flood history, if it's a condo, if you have an HOA, different permits or leases, insurance related conditions, and any other really property specific facts.
Yeah, I mean, and then the timelines too of everything,
Oh yeah.
like just making sure that the escrow is made
Yeah.
on the day or by the day it's supposed to be. If the
Right.
inspection hearing gets closed,
Yep.
missing a deadline or failing to disclose a known material fact can cost much more than a professional fee.
Oh yeah.
This podcast is educational, not legal, tax, insurance, or financial advice. Consumers should speak with an appropriate Florida real estate attorney and other qualified professionals about their specific situation.
Right. We're just kind of giving you a heads up on what could happen or things you should think about
Yeah.
if you're going to list your home by yourself. Um, in the last area where, people can lose some money is time and personal safety can end up being a concern with a FSBO.
They can. So FISLA sellers become the marketing department, photographer, copywriter, showing coordinator, lead screener, negotiator, transaction manager, and full-time point of contact.
Yeah, congratulations on your new 12 per page jobs.
Now the book is not here. You're eating dinner at work, helping with homework, or finally sitting down. Sellers may also invite strangers into their homes without a professional scheduling system or clear evidence that the person is financially qualified.
Yeah.
Your time had value, and so does your safety. It matters.
Yeah, not so safe. Not so safe. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back to do the math here for everything.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So let's make this real with an example.
All right, so let's use a hypothetical $425,000 home, which is close to the agent assisted national median in the NAR report.
Right.
If a comparable FSBO transaction produced a 5.5% lower price, a midpoint illustration with an approximate 5 to 7% range, often associated with a comparable property research, the difference would be
I would say about $23,375.
your caress.
Yep.
That does not mean this will happen to every seller. It just shows why the entire transaction has to be calculated. Now imagine a seller avoids a negotiated listing fee, but underprices the home by $10,000, gives the buyer $7,500 closing cost credit, agrees to $4,000 in repairs, and accepts a weaker appraisal protection.
Yeah. The known price and term difference is already about $21,500 before assigning any value to the appraisal risk, marketing expenses, legal or transaction assistance, time, or stress.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So the seller may proudly say, I saved the commission, while the calculator is sitting there asking, did you really though? Like,
Exactly.
did you do the math out completely?
And real estate professional fees are negotiable. There is no universal or government set rate. Service fees and compensation should be explained in writing and what you're getting for what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Sellers should compare the actual cost of services being offered, not rely on assumed percentages.
Right, which I feel everyone always does,
Hmm.
honestly.
Yes.
Even with all the changes that have happened in Florida, people still just assume it's 6%.
Yeah.
And then they don't understand where the 6% is coming from or how it's divvied up,
Yeah.
you know?
Or who it goes to. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm. Also, selling without a listing agent does not necessarily mean no real estate professional will be involved or no professional compensation will be requested.
Yep.
The buyer may have an agent.
Exactly.
So I'll tell you what I do if I'm working with somebody who goes to or wants a home that is for sale by owner. I will go to the homeowner and say, hey, I have a buyer
Yeah.
who wants to purchase this home. I am representing them. Would you be willing to pay me a fee of whatever that may be for me to represent the buyer
Yep.
and handle the transaction?
Yep.
I always get a yes, but
Always.
always.
Wow. All right. Get it, girl. um, you know, any seller concessions or payment toward buyer broker compensation is negotiable, as we've said, and should be addressed clearly in the written offer and contract, which is, I'm sure, what you do after that. The correct comparison is like, what am I likely to net with professional representation versus what am I likely to not what am I likely to net selling alone after pricing, marketing expenses, legal or transaction assistance, buyer related concessions, repairs, time, and risk. Not gross, not vibes. Net.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Uh,
Well, all right, Jen, the homeowner hotline is ringing. And here's today the imaginary caller.
all right.
Hey, homegirls, my neighbor's cousin says she wants to buy my house. So why would I need to put it on the market?
Okay, well, great question. You may already have a buyer, but do you know whether you have the best buyer, price, and terms? You would want to ask, how is the price established? Is the buyer pre approved or do they simply like the house? How strong is the financing? How much is the escrow deposit? You also want to ask, what inspection and appraisal rights will the buyer have? Is the buyer asking for concessions? And what happens if financing, insurance, title, or the appraisal create a problem somewhere along the line? And lastly, who's preparing and managing the paperwork for this whole transaction?
And she is really nice is not a financing contingency.
It's not.
Oh,
Oh, you mean you can't just trust the person because they're nice?
no.
Correct. So a private sale can be perfectly reasonable, but familiarity does not replace due diligence.
Nope.
So now I say we get into what does a for sale by owner mean for the buyer? You know, we've focused heavily on sellers, but what does it mean for the buyer?
First, it doesn't actually mean the buyer is getting a bargain. The
Oh,
buyer may think that the seller is not paying the listing agent, so the home should cost less. Meanwhile, the seller may think, I am doing all the work myself, so I should keep every dollar.
I feel like that's usually the way it goes.
Yes.
The mentality.
Yes, but both sides may be trying to capture the same perceived saving.
Hmm.
Second, the owner is not the buyer's representative. A friendly seller may be honest and cooperative, but the seller's financial goal is to still obtain favorable price and terms.
Right.
And third, the buyer should not skip normal protections simply because the transaction feels informal or the buyer knows the owner.
Yeah.
A buyer still may need,
Proof of financing or funds?
yeah, a written purchase contract. Not everything like those, or even have access to one.
Right. Where are they going to write on a
I
napkin?
don't know. I'm gonna look that up later.
Yeah.
And then a title examination. So you do have to have a title company. They've got to do a title commitment.
They have to do a search on the property and stuff. I can imagine a lien search, things like that.
Yep. And then an appraisal when required or desired. So if your buyer is financing the home, there's going to be an appraisal.
Yeah.
An insurance review,
Mm-hmm.
HOA or condominium documentation review.
Yeah, especially if they require approval.
Well, here's the other thing. So I'm sure the added seller does not know that you have a certain window of time to produce the HOA bylaws.
Right.
So, and then flood zone and permit research, written disclosures like you talked about before, and then professional legal, tax, lending, insurance, and real estate guidance. And
Yeah.
fourth, buyers need to understand
Representation.
Yeah. If a buyer hires an agent, that professional provides services to the buyer according to the written agreement, the brokerage relationship, and applicable Florida law, not for the seller's benefit.
Yeah. So the buyer should discuss services and compensation before touring or writing an offer. A buyer should never assume that going directly to the homeowner means the seller will automatically lower the price or hand all potential savings to the buyer. And please do not waive an inspection just because someone says, we've never had a problem with that.
Exactly. A kind conversation is not a substitute for investigation.
Yeah, quite honestly, thinking about doing all this without an agent is giving me a headache.
It's
How do you
yeah, my
legally make sure you're covering all the bases? That's a lot of work for a seller to do.
right now.
Jeepers.
I wouldn't even if I did got a real estate license, I wouldn't even know how to start that.
Me either.
Is there well, you could do some research. Agent. Is there something out there that gives them all these tools?
No, there can't be.
I'm looking it up right now.
I don't know.
I'm looking it up right now. Let's see.
I mean, can I just go to Tom next door and be like, "Hey, can I buy your house from you if it's for sale?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure. Jen, my house is listed for I'm offering 435 for it, please." I say, "Okay." Like, does it need to have I can imagine it would have to have an appraisal still, right?
Yeah, so there is
Or can I just write an offer and a deal on a napkin
I mean,
and sign it
crazier things have happened. But there actually is I guess some tools out there.
for sale by others?
You're still gonna have to hire someone though to get it.
Well, because you still have to have a title company
You
involved.
still have to have a title company and you either need there's gonna have to be someone there that, kind of
Versus the transaction.
there's the transaction and the timelines. So
Yikes. All right. Well, hey, so when will a FSBO be, maybe practical? I guess. Like, are there situations where selling without a listing agent may make more sense?
there can be. For example, a seller may already have a buyer, which we've heard that before.
Yeah.
And the buyer understands the property's value and they agree on the major terms. It could be a transfer between relatives, neighbors, tenants, or business partners. That fits that current statistic of 60% of sellers knowing their buyer.
It's 60% of the 5%. Yeah.
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 Yeah. But knowing the buyer does not eliminate the need for accurate pricing or a legal sound contract, required disclosures, title work, financing coordination, and properly manage closing. Like all of these things, if you said, are giving me a headache.
Yeah. So, like, at minimum, both parties really should consider obtaining, if neither of them have representation, at least like an independent legal and professional person for advice, right? So you're still spending money somehow, some
Right.
way.
So it's either with a person's attorney, an agent, or a closing professional and they may not represent both parties' interests.
Right. So, FSBO may also be more practical for someone with substantial real estate, legal, marketing, negotiating, and transaction management experience and enough time to do all that work.
But a homeowner should not choose for sale by owner only because a home looks easy to sell from the outside either.
Yeah, if it often looks easy because somebody behind the scenes, it's because somebody behind the scenes is handling all those 50,000 things before they become your emergency,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
So let's see 10 questions to ask before selling alone.
Okay. So if you're considering for sale by owner, pause and honestly ask these 10 questions. Number one, how will I determine market value using true comparable closed sales, not only an online estimate or active listings?
Yeah. Number two, how will I expose the property to the largest pool of qualified buyers?
And then who will screen inquiries and verify that buyers can actually purchase a home? They're not just walking through or
Right. Who says they have whatever if
yeah.
they have a penny to their name?
Mhm.
Yeah. Number four would be, am I comfortable allowing unknown people into my house? And what is my safety plan for it? That is something that you really need to have figured out. That's super important.
Yes, it is. Do I understand the contract, contingencies, disclosures, and deadlines?
Because those are still there.
They're still there. You have to have them.
Yep. Number six, how will I compare multiple offers beyond the purchase price?
Yeah, and that also goes into like knowing, um, being able to ask questions to the lender, knowing what questions to ask to the lender, and what lender does desk appraisals and what lender comes and walks the home to do the appraisal. I mean, there are so many things that go into that.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's no like, other than seeing a price, you should really have some knowledge into all other factors that we've mentioned previously so far in this episode that go into an actual offer,
Yeah.
you know?
And then the other thing, really, guys, number 7 is, can I negotiate without becoming emotionally involved? And I've probably only seen this one time.
Yeah.
We were showing a buyer some places, and her plan wasn't to live here very long, and she was being very practical and calculated about what she was buying, had no connection to the neighborhood or anything. I've only seen that once in what,
Yeah.
7 years?
Not not common at all. Number 8, what will I do if the inspection, appraisal, title work, insurance review, or financing does create a problem? Because those are all points within a transaction that you could have a hiccup at.
Yep. Number 9, what will I still pay for photography, marketing, legal help, closing assistance, repairs, or buyer concessions? Because all buyers are asking for them right now.
Oh, 100%. I don't know the last time I saw an offer that someone's not asking for anything.
Yep.
And the last one would be, what is my expected net and what evidence supports that number? And for kicks and giggles, here's a bonus question. Have you interviewed a strong listing agent and reviewed an actual pricing and marketing plan before making this decision?
Yes. You do not have to hire the first agent you meet, and I do not suggest that.
Nope. We usually say interview at least three.
3, yep, interview agents asking for a pricing analysis. Ask what they do, what they charge, what services come with those charges. That's
Yeah.
really important.
Very important.
On how they communicate, how they're going to negotiate for you, and how they're going to protect your interests, and how will they measure the plan. Make the for sale by owner decision after comparing real options, not after assuming every agent provides the same level of service, because that's not true.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
So, again, if you are thinking about selling your house, please ask yourself those 10 plus a bonus question or two um, before you move on with actually going through with this. So, with that said, let's get into myth or fact. FSBO, quick round here.
Okay.
Have a little fun. I'll give you the statement, and you tell me whether it's a myth or a fact.
I got you, girl.
All right. If I sell without a listing agent, I will automatically save money.
Well, that's a myth. You may avoid one expense, as we've been talking about, but we've told you about all the other things that you have to calculate to find the final net after the selling price, concessions, repairs, marketing, assistance, time risk, etc., etc.
All right. Next, every for sale by owner or seller loses exactly $65,000.
Girl, that's a myth. The 65,000 is the difference between two national median prices. It's not a controlled comparison of identical homes and does not predict an individual result.
All right. What about most for sale by owners, sellers? They already know their buyer.
That in the 2025 NAR report, 60% of the FSBO sellers knew the buyer.
Good. So, what about an as is contract means a Florida seller never has to disclose a known hidden problem?
That's a myth. As is does not erase Florida's disclosure obligations concerning known, non obvious facts that materially affect value. Get property specific legal advice.
Yeah. What about the highest offer is always the best offer?
Girl, that's a myth too. Price matters, right? Like it does. But so is financing, and so does appraisal exposure, and so do the inspections, and the concessions, and the escrow, and the contingencies, the timing, and the likelihood of the closing.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that goes into
There is
it.
so many things.
Okay, and what about fees are negotiable?
Girl, what's a fact? Real estate compensation is negotiable. Consumers should review the specific services, fees, and written agreement.
Look at us saving friendships and equity one myth at a time.
Get it, girl.
All right. So, Yaz, give us the final truth about for sale by owner.
All right, everyone, here it is. I'm going to say it loud for everybody in the back to hear. For sale by owner is legal, and homeowners have the right to sell their own property, but avoiding one professional fee is not the same as maximizing your net, so don't get it twisted. And then the 2025 NAR data show a $65,000 difference between the national median FSBO price of $360,000 and the agent assisted median of $425,000. That is an important warning sign, but it's not proof that every for sale by owner personally lost $65,000.
Exactly. So, the same report found, again, as we mentioned at the beginning, that only 5% of sales were for sale by owner, the lowest share in the history of the report. While 91% of sellers used an agent and 60% of the FSBO sellers already knew their buyer. So, older comparable property research found also that FSBO differences of approximately 5% or so by municipal area price per square foot and 7.26 by zip code price per square foot. It's often summarized to roughly around 5 to 7%. So,
Other older research in a specialized market reached a different conclusion. That is why honest consumer education requires context, not tactics.
exactly. If you already know your buyer, the process may be more direct, but it still needs to be handled correctly.
If you are a buyer, remember that the seller is not automatically looking out for your interest, and a private sale does not eliminate the need for due diligence.
Mhm.
Before making a decision, calculate the entire transaction, compare the likely net, understand your risks, and then choose the path that protects your money, your timeline, and your peace of mind.
Yeah, especially since we've gone over how much goes into this. But your peace of mind really gonna be tested.
Your hair's
Yeah.
gonna be falling out.
Yeah. Talk about grace.
Because the sign in the yard is not the easy part, guys.
Exactly.
I told you. And getting from for sale to a successful protected closing is where the real work begins.
Yeah. And girlfriend, if you're going to make a decision about one of your largest assets, make it with a full calculator, not just a one line item.
Okay.
So if this episode helped you, share it with somebody who is thinking about selling a home on their own or with that friend who thinks a yard sign and 3 cell phone pictures are marketing plan.
And guys, be nice when you send it. And if you're wondering whether First deal wet owner or professional representation makes more sense for your situation. Get the facts before you decide. A consultation should help you understand your options, not pressure you.
Also, don't forget to ask yourself those 10 plus bonus questions.
Correct. And be sure to follow the homeowner hotline for the most honest conversations about buying, selling, and protecting your homeownership journey. We are your real estate homegirls.
And we'll see you next time
Correct.
on the Homeowner Hotline.